Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast and a quick fun little episode for you and your families here on Thanksgiving. And welcome to the show, Christy and Chris. How are you guys doing today?
So good.
Great.
Great.
Love a good holiday.
Yeah, I do love a good holiday. Well, I thought it'd be fun to kind of get this episode out just to thank each and every one of you out there, all our listeners who have supported our show over the last several years. Just a deep, heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you. We'll talk a little Turkey Day stuff, but before we do that, there was some pretty exciting news, at least for us who are DVC fans, and especially for those of us on the West Coast, where Disney this week announced that they are going to be building a DVC tower as part of the Disneyland Hotel. And Chris, why don't you lead us off with that? You had some thoughts. You talked to some people recently about it. Why don't you lead us off on that?
The only word of caution I'll have is that Disney has filed the intention to build a DVC tower, but they also filed an intention a couple of years ago to build a 4-star hotel in downtown Disney, and that project fell through. So I'm holding my breath.
Way to be a Debbie Downer.
Well, I really want it to happen, but I also really wanted that other hotel to happen, and look where we are now. But I will say that this seems way more likely to happen, and I have a couple of insights. So the last time Seth and I toured the DVC showcase building that they have in Anaheim, our tour guide and salesperson for DVC was explaining that the Grand Californian DVC property had sold out so fast, maybe even faster than the DVC could have expected that it would sell out. And so they, ever since then, have been like, we really want to get more DVC properties at Disneyland. But how can we do that when we have sort of a lot more limited hotel catalog, right? There's 3 hotels in Disneyland versus how many are in Disney World, Christy?
Oh,
like 10?
18 or something.
Yeah, it's like 1 million. So there's so many more. And a lot of people are sort of like, well, the Disneyland Hotel is sort of a little bit older. I don't know when it last went through renovation, but I've stayed there several times. And, it's nice, but it's definitely not as nice as the Grand Californian and certainly not as nice as a lot of the newer DVC properties. So this new tower that they would build is going to be its own sort of thing, slightly separate from the Disneyland Hotel, but built in the style of the Disneyland Hotel. And right now it would be on a property or a part of the property that basically is grass and a laundry facility. So they would take out that grassy patch, take out the laundry facility, and build like a 12 or 13 story building. And I think they said it might have 350 rooms. So that's a pretty sizable property. I think you could expect it to be somewhat like the Riviera DVC property they're building over in Florida. So it would be super cool. I'm super excited about it. And it's sort of hot off the presses. It literally just sort of broke in the OC Register yesterday, which is a newspaper in Orange County.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and that's what they said, Chris. A 350-room Disney Vacation Club tower, which would be 12 stories. And I totally agree with you. Chrissy, what are your thoughts on this as far as, you are more of a I don't want to paint you in that corner as far as being a Walt Disney World fan versus Disneyland. But, what are your thoughts as far as...
It's the difference of 2 hours of a flight versus 4.5 to 5 hours of a flight. So it's a little bit of a different scenario for us. But I think it's awesome. There's definitely a need for it. The Grand Californian hardly has any rooms allocated to DVC, and so people would buy it. I would consider buying it. And even if they did the resale restrictions and the booking restrictions that the Riviera has, I think they will still sell out pretty quickly, or at least be able to sell it pretty well.
And for a high price tag, because honestly, when you just think of the sheer number of DVC resorts in Florida versus the one DVC resort we have at Disneyland, we have 2 theme parks in California, which is, I know, half as many parks that are in Walt Disney World, but still 2 theme parks you could make a vacation out of that. And having enough hotel rooms and enough DVC properties I think is really important. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
What I'm really curious to see is with the Riviera and all of the kind of history that they put in that, as far as, you know, with Walt Disney traveling over to, am I totally out? Let me, before I go into this, am I totally out to lunch on that?
No, you're not.
It's kind of themed about Walt Disney's travels through Italy and France, right? With the Riviera?
Right.
Okay. What I'm really interested in seeing there is, like you said, Chris, okay, the Grand Californian is definitely, between the two of them, a much more upscale and nicer property. But what makes the Disneyland Hotel, in my mind, special, and to kind of segue back to, they do need they do need to update the rooms. They're a little tired and old. I think that I read somewhere recently where that is on the schedule. But what makes the Disneyland Hotel just so magical to so many people is the history behind it. And when you walk through the different lobbies of the different towers, I know in the Frontierland Tower, there's a whole model of
Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, there's a whole model of Big Thunder Mountain that you can kind of take a look at in the main lobby as you come in, and you take a right and you head down to Steakhouse 55. There's just so many pictures of the history of Disneyland, and with the incorporation of kind of Walt's travels through Italy and France into the Disney Riviera and the touches and the different theming in the restaurants there, I think this is going to be a home run for them as far as building this fourth tower at the Disneyland Hotel and the history that they put behind it. And I think just people are going to flock to it.
I do too. I honestly think it's going to sell really fast, even with the restrictions that they've been putting on DVC. And like, one thing people forget is that, and I know not everybody's into DVC or not everybody can afford it, but one thing that separates DVC from a lot of these timeshares is that you don't sort of own the property in perpetuity forever. It's like, and I know that I'm not the lawyer here, so someone else might be able to speak more to this, but with DVC, you sort of only own in that property for what, 50 years, 60 years?
The contracts start at 50 years.
Yeah.
So and if you buy resale when somebody else has already owned the contract, you just have whatever number of years they have remaining.
Right. So in my mind, it's like by building this and setting it up in such a way that it's not like a forever property that you just always own at, Disney sort of created some flexibility for themselves to like build and update and sort of tweak and change things as they go. And I don't know, I think DVC has like a lot of untapped potential in the company in terms of being a source of revenue, but also always having, you know, like people in the parks.
I'm nodding.
I just think this is going to be kind of a cool project to follow along. I figured it'd be fun to talk about this real quick today. I know that there's a lot of listeners out there, not everybody's DVC, like you said, Chris, that listen to our show, but I know that there are a lot of listeners out there who do, and it kind of it exploded quickly around the Disney community, people talking about it when they first announced this. So I, like you, Chris, have got my fingers crossed, and hopefully this one will come through. But I kind of have a feeling this one's going to come through versus what happened with the last one.
Yeah, me too. It should happen.
So, well, let's move on to Thanksgiving itself, talk a little Turkey Day time. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of just share what each of us are going to be doing this Thanksgiving. And then we'll talk a little bit about Thanksgiving on Disney Cruise Line and some of the things we're thankful for when we sail with DCL. So who wants to go first? Don't everybody raise your hand at once. Christy, why don't you go first? What are you guys doing this year? Because I think you got something special planned this year as well. So why don't you talk about what you guys are doing this year for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe my Thanksgiving wins, but then I just learned recently where you're going for Thanksgiving, and yours definitely wins. So we'll talk about yours in a second. But my family will be in Walt Disney World for Thanksgiving.
Where are you guys staying, and what are you doing for Thanksgiving dinner, I guess?
We are staying at the Wilderness Lodge, and we are going to see what they offer at the Wilderness Lodge for Thanksgiving dinner. We are actually going to have our pseudo Thanksgiving dinner on Wednesday. So we have a Liberty Tree Tavern reservation for Wednesday, like early dinner, because that was the latest time they had for some reason. I don't understand that availability, but we are going to do, so our big, like you're full and you don't want to go anywhere or do anything, we're doing that on Wednesday after our day at the Magic Kingdom. And then on Thursday, we are going to Hollywood Studios during the day, and then we will spend the evening at the Wilderness Lodge.
Is Liberty Tree going to have like a Thanksgiving lineup of food or not really?
They pretty much have a Thanksgiving lineup of food every day.
Oh, where is that? That's in Magic Kingdom?
It is. And they have like turkey and gravy, which for me is exciting because to get gluten-free gravy is a big deal. And then they have actually a pot roast, which I don't know if next week, if they'll leave the pot roast on the menu or they'll take it off, but it's really good. And then they have, I think they have ham and tons of mashed potatoes and bread rolls and the really good salad. It's just a really, really good dinner. We all really enjoy it.
Fun. Wait, and where? Oh, and you're staying in Fort Wilderness, which is not on the monorail. Wilderness Lodge, but that's
also
not on the monorail.
Right.
Where is that far from the Magic Kingdom, or you can only get there by bus?
Well, you can get there by bus, which is 5 minutes. And actually, I think I'm the only one on the planet, but that is my preferred way to get there because it literally is a 5-minute bus ride. It could not be closer. But there is also a boat, and the boat takes about 15 minutes, I believe, 10 to 15 minutes when it comes. But the bus just continuously runs. So it runs, it drops people off, it comes back. It runs, it drops people off, it comes back. So I prefer the bus.
That's going to be a really cool Thanksgiving. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous about the crowds. We have never been, actually, over a holiday week. I mean, maybe when I was a kid, but obviously there weren't as many people going then.
Do you know what you'll be missing, though, on December 5th?
I know.
Rise of Resistance is opening like days after you leave.
I know. You know, I have serious motion sickness problems, though, so I don't think I was going to do it anyway.
Really? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're right. There is sort of a like Star Toursy component at the beginning and the end of the ride.
Yeah, I think it's kind of heavily screened and moving, and like Flight of Passage makes me seriously ill. So,
but like, as a dutiful parent and a travel agent, you would do it once just to see what it's like, or you think maybe never?
I may never do it, but I will let my husband do it and tell me if I should. And actually, he could take my kid, although my kid also gets motion sickness, and he doesn't like dark. So I don't know. Dave would have to try it first to see.
Okay, well, then I think you have perfect timing.
Yeah. We're not going to be going on the ride, and we can have a lot less people. So, well, not necessarily a lot less people, but I guess less people than will be when Rise of Resistance starts. So we're excited, though.
So, Chris, what are you and Seth up to this Thanksgiving? And how do you guys like to usually spend it?
So I have only very recently become a runner, but I decided to go all in, and we're doing a turkey trot, like a 10K. It just so happens that the 10K, or not even, I think it's a 5K or a 10K, whatever you want. But the biggest turkey trot in Los Angeles happens literally a mile from my house in Burbank, California.
Nice. So you're going to run there?
Maybe. We probably will walk because I bet parking is a mess to get there. But there's signs everywhere being like, this street's closed on that day or that street's closed on this day. So we're going to start our day off that way. And then I'm the cooker in the family. So my mom will come over and some other family members, and we'll have a great big family feast. But that doesn't end our Thanksgiving because we also like to, the weekend of Thanksgiving, make it our official trip to see the holiday decorations and the holiday offerings at Disneyland.
Ooh.
So on Saturday, we have my family and a bunch of friends all doing a full Disney day, which because we're annual pass holders, it's actually pretty rare that we do full Disney days. We usually like show up halfway through or show up at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, but we don't do a full day. But we're going to do a full Disney day on Saturday and see as many of the different parade offerings and different holiday entertainment, and then, ride some rides, do some stuff. It'll be great. We're super excited. And then Sunday I fly out for work. So it'll be a nice time to spend with family before diving into a big work week.
Man, a flight at the end of a holiday weekend?
It's rough. Also, that I feel bad for my company because those flights were
$8 million.
I was like, y'all sure I need to fly on this day?
Right.
Because it was like $1,000 to get from here to New York.
I don't doubt it. And Steve, you have some pretty big plans.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear about it.
Kind of been in the works. My parents spend half the year over in Hawaii, so they usually stick around Thanksgiving with us, and then they head over to Hawaii right after Thanksgiving. But because it's my mom's 80th birthday this year. They are having to come back early. She's coming back kicking and screaming a little bit, but we're taking her on a Disney cruise in April. So because of that, they went over to Hawaii a little bit early, and she made plans for us to stay downtown on Waikiki this year for Thanksgiving. So they're actually flying over there. My wife and the kids are actually flying. They're on the plane right now as we speak. We're recording this on Sunday. They're winging their way over to Hawaii. They're going to do a little scuba diving over the next couple days, which is kind of cool. And then I'm in beautiful Newark, and I'm going to join them on Tuesday. So we've got reservations down on Waikiki at the military hotel. It's called the Halikoa. And we're just going to spend 2 nights and 3 days down there on the beach, kicking back in the sand and enjoying it.
I feel like we all have really good Thanksgiving plans. I mean, I still think Hawaii wins, but
I don't know.
I definitely think Hawaii wins.
Well, I will definitely send you some pictures of paddleboarding out there on Thanksgiving Day. They've got it's kind of cool. The military hotel redid their water park, so they've got some new slides. So the kids are excited about that. And then they've got 2 restaurants at the hotel that'll be doing, Thanksgiving dinner. So I think my wife and my mom are pretty excited that they don't have to cook this year. So that's what we're going to be doing for Thanksgiving. A little bit out of the ordinary. So, well, why don't we turn to Disney Cruise Line a little bit and talk about Thanksgiving? And I pulled it up, and all 4 of the ships have Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. They're all going to be out cruising around. And I'm going to throw it to you guys. Which ship do you think will be in Castaway Cay on Thanksgiving? You want to take a guess?
On a Thursday. Probably the Dream.
That's my guess, too.
You guys can go with the Dream. It's actually the Magic. The Magic is going to be there at Castaway Cay.
I was like, it can't be the Dream because the Dream ends on Friday.
But so don't they usually do Castaway before? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they have a sea day at the end usually.
Oh, and Fantasy ends the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the Magic, your favorite ship?
My favorite ship. All those lucky people that are out on a Western Caribbean cruise on the beautiful Disney Magic, which left on, where is it at? I'm pulling it up here. Shoot, they will leave on the 23rd. What day is it today? I don't even know.
24th.
24th. So they're already out on a 6-night sailing. They're going to be at Castaway Cay. So
exciting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. But just to talk about a little bit, obviously they don't necessarily have they don't have exactly a Thanksgiving sailing. It's the very maritime sailing, so it's all the Christmas decorations, but they do kind of tune it up a little bit. And I guess Christy, do you have any insight as to what they do on Thanksgiving? Otherwise I can just read this. Have you talked to anybody, or have you actually been on the ship for Thanksgiving?
I have not been on a Disney cruise for Thanksgiving. I have been on other cruise lines for Thanksgiving, and I have to say, I'm curious. We're going to have to ask our listener Chris, who is on the cruise right now, on the Dream right now, to see how their dinner was. Because every other cruise line that I have been on for Thanksgiving, not so good at the turkey dinner. It's like they mean well, but it is never good. So I am curious to see if Disney, bats it out of the park.
Well, because a turkey is a very large bird, and there are thousands of people to feed. I don't even know what would the infrastructure be like to make a delicious turkey that is enough to feed everybody.
That is a good point.
Like, it's a little easier with chickens. You can roast them. But like a turkey is just very large.
And even if they got little turkeys, that would be ridiculous. You can't cut up the little turkeys. That is a very good point.
So we'll see. I don't know. I hope Chris comes back and says it's amazing. But this is listener Chris who stays in concierge usually.
Yes.
So I bet maybe.
No, we eat the same food.
I bet they will have plucked the turkey fresh that morning.
No, the food is the same.
Do you love how I've just created this fantasy in my mind that concierge has golden toilets and freshly prepared meals?
Nope, none of those things exist.
Yeah, they ventured
now, there is somebody who will get you a drink on your way to dinner, but that's where that ends.
To take a look at it real quick, and I'll just read this. It's not very long, but leave the cooking, cleaning, and decorating to us is what Disney Cruise Line says, and enjoy more quality time together with loved ones as you sail from one spectacular port to the next. Make your Thanksgiving an event your family will never forget when you celebrate the holiday with Disney Cruise Line. On Thanksgiving Day, Disney ships serve up a cornucopia. Always makes me think of the Hunger Games for some reason when I hear that word, which has nothing to do with Thanksgiving.
Do they have a cornucopia on Hunger Games?
They do.
A cornucopia.
Somebody's head in the middle of it or something.
Just weapons. A cornucopia of war.
Yeah.
War symbols.
Boy, I go like sideways there with that little.
Let's go back to like imagining the vegetables coming out of the thing in the middle of the table.
Exactly. All right. So on Thanksgiving Day, Disney ships serve up a cornucopia of seasonal festivities sure to delight everyone, including your mouth-watering full-course traditional turkey dinner, and we'll find out from Chris how good that turkey dinner was. Disney characters bedecked in the festive holiday-themed costumes. I'll be curious, Christy, if you see anybody like that wandering around Walt Disney World.
Oh, I never considered that.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of Mickey in his kind of pilgrim outfit and Minnie in her pilgrim outfit from the Disney Cruise Lines before, and we'll try and throw one of those up there on Thanksgiving Day as well. And then also seasonal decor throughout the ship. I don't know if they change up very much. Maybe they'll throw some stuff in the different dining rooms as far as Thanksgiving goes. And then a live football broadcast via satellite, because you can't have Thanksgiving without football, up on the Funnel Vision. So you can go out there, watch your kids swim around, and watch the Dallas Cowboys play, I guess. Or Detroit. Detroit always plays. Do you care, Christy?
They do play, but they're so crushing of your soul with how inconsistent they are every year that it's hard to get that excited about it.
Chris, are you a football fan? Do you care?
Hard pass.
Hard pass.
The funny thing is, when you were talking about sports, the thought that went through my mind was literally, why would Disney make it a point to show sports on Thanksgiving? And then I realized that's literally what everybody does on Thanksgiving, and I am the weird one who's like, no, let's bake a cake.
Well, we could usually fit in one football game, but they have three. It's like all day long, and I just can't. I can't sit and watch that. I would fall asleep on the couch if I had to watch all three of those football games, especially after eating the turkey. But there you go. That's what you can expect on Disney Cruise Line for your Thanksgiving holiday. So we'll look.
It actually sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does sound like kind of a fun day to spend with your family too, and not having to cook is always a good thing, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Well, and we've never talked about this on the show, but I wonder, what other meals does Disney offer up special like Thanksgiving? Like, is there a Christmas dinner that they offer? I'm assuming there's no like Halloween dinner or Valentine's dinner or, Easter brunch or something, but maybe there is. I would be curious to see like what holidays does Disney Cruise Line observe as like a specialized meal that's a different menu from a normal sailing.
So people need to let us know.
I just pulled up the holiday part, or the Very Merry Time, but it doesn't talk anything about different dining. And they obviously, from the sailing that we were just on for Halloween and the high seas and everybody else, they didn't really do too much as far as that goes either. So maybe
you were on a 3-day sailing. That doesn't count.
Well, that's true. Maybe it's just Thanksgiving, but I bet you they have turkey on, or some kind of turkey. I bet you on Christmas too. We'll have to find out.
People don't do turkey on Christmas.
Well, what do they do? I don't know. We do ham.
Ham?
Yes.
Chicken schnitzel.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
Escargot.
I don't think that's a Christmas meal, but it could be somewhere.
Yeah, all the magical holiday things. Well, hey, I thought we'd do one more fun thing before we get out of here today, and that is maybe go around the room here and we can each talk, maybe give 2 or 3 things that we're thankful for when we sail on Disney Cruise Line. And once again, why don't we go with Chris this time? Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
All right.
We always put Christy on the spot.
Yeah, why don't you jump in there, Chris, and give us a couple of your things that you guys are thankful for when you sail with Disney Cruise Line?
Well, as you know, I sometimes compare the food in the main dining rooms to like nice wedding food, which is fine. But I would say what I'm most thankful for is Palo, because Palo is like top notch, just as good as any really good restaurant you would go to and pay a lot more money to eat at. So I'm super thankful for Palo because it allows me to feel like I'm having an even better than fancy wedding dinner on one night of the ship. So that's one thing I'm thankful for. The other thing I'm thankful for is, honestly, and I know that this is probably something on Christie's list, but I'm thankful for Castaway Cay because I don't have access to beaches or water like that in California. A lot of people think of the Pacific Ocean as being like a place where people swim and stuff, but I'll tell you, the water in the Atlantic is warmer in the summer than it is in the Pacific. We have like cold water year round, and it's not the most comfortable to swim in. And so being on Castaway and water that's the temperature of like a bathtub and having tropical fish swim around you. And that whole just beach experience is so different than what I'm used to here in California that I'm super, super thankful for that. And my third and final one is the entertainment, because listen, I'm embarrassed to admit I have seen Frozen 2 twice this weekend, and I'm going to see it again next weekend. Listen, y'all, I stan Frozen 2. I am a mega fan. I think it's better than the first one. I cried. I laughed. But
I'm so jealous.
The thing about... Also, sidebar, everybody, I was going to see... This is what happens when you see a movie in Burbank. I went to see Frozen 2, and Josh Gad walked into the theater.
Shut up!
Literally walked into our theater. I can send you a video to put on Patreon or put somewhere, Steve, because Josh Gad walks into the theater, thanks us for coming to see, and he made a joke. He's like, "Thank you for supporting independent theater or independent film." And then he was like, "I'm so excited for you to see this movie." And then he walked up to one of the little kids and was like, "I'm going to make your night." And then said, "I'm Olaf, and I like warm hugs," in Olaf's voice. And then walked out of the theater, just out of the blue. I don't know how or why it happened, but it did. And so I love Disney storytelling. I just do. I cannot stress enough how important I think a good story is in like helping to shape the way we view the world and the way we see each other. And Disney does it the best. And so, I've been on other cruise lines, but nobody does entertainment the way Disney does. And to me, it's almost more than entertainment. It's stories that have morals and values and help you to see the world empathetically. So those are my three things.
Well, I can't top his storytelling or his way to describe his three things.
I know. I think you and I have got our work cut out for us, but that's okay, Christy. What are some of your favorite things, and what are you thankful for with sailing Disney Cruise Line?
All right. So the first thing I'm thankful for are the cast members. Of all cruise lines, there are a lot of really hardworking individuals on every cruise line. But man, the people that work for Disney, it's like they're happy to be there. I know that sounds weird, and I should come up with a different way to word it. But don't they seem happy to be there? Like, it literally feels like their pleasure to make your bed every day. Like, that's bringing them joy, which clearly they can't be bringing them joy to make our bed every day. But they come off like it is bringing them joy. And there is just something about it. They are amazing. They are amazing. So, number one are the cast members. Number two is the food. And I love that I can have, unique and safe gluten-free food for myself. So like my fried brie, and they have this chocolate walnut cake that's gluten-free that is very memorable, and it makes me happy. And then they'll bring it to me like 4 nights in a row once I start talking about it. So the food, I'm thankful for the food. And then the third thing is what Chris said would be on my list, and that is Castaway Cay. I love that place. It is just such an oasis. You all know that. It is so relaxing, and it's just so nice to be able to spend the day at the beach and kind of not worry about anything. I love it. Those are my list. That's my list.
That's a great list. And now I feel bad for not putting the cast members on mine, because you're so right. The cast members make the cruise.
And I'm going to make you feel even worse, Chris, because they are on my list as well. So.
Darn it.
No, that's okay. That's just I think for all of us, all the listeners out there, I think you can probably agree to this. I think all of us are just thankful to be able to go on a Disney cruise to begin with, which is just a magical time to spend with your family, significant others, or whoever else. But I'm going to go with my first one is the music. I'm thankful for the music that they put on board. I don't know what it is about it, but listening to Disney music, waking up and walking out of your room and you're heading out to coffee, or like Christy and I, we like to go and get our workout ins early in the morning. And so I thought I'd get a response for that, Chris.
I mean, I was like, did he stutter and meant Chris? Because I think I've seen the inside of that gym once.
Yeah. No.
However, I do like to leave my room and get my coffee.
Exactly. And there's just something magical about opening up that door and having that music hit you as you're either going up to the elevator or up and down the stairs, and it just kind of sets the tone for the day a lot of times. And I love the fact that they change it up as far as if you go over to Europe, when they go from different country to country, sometimes they change the music there as well. So I'm kind of thankful for the music. The second one I'm going to go with is the kids clubs, because if you're a parent and you are on vacation with Disney Cruise Line, those kids clubs are amazing. They entertain your kids. I love the fact that it's not just video games there, that they've got all different kinds of things where the cast members kind of engage with the kids, whether it's Super Sloppy Science or Anyone Can Cook, or in the teen clubs where they have them. I remember one cruise where the kids were all out making a zombie movie, and it was kind of funny to watch them moving around the hallways filming different scenes that they kind of put together, and then they could all watch it that last day. But I love the creativity behind the kids clubs to keep them entertained, so that you and your wife or significant other or husband or whoever else can go have a little bit of free time and enjoy your vacation as well. And then I guess the last one, like you said, Christy, I'm going to go with the cast members. You said it best. I mean, they seem every day to be just happy to try and, make your cruise memorable. And it's still the little touches that they do each and every day. I remember the first cruise we went on, going to dinner and coming back when they do the turn down service, and my kids were pretty young then. They brought their stuffed animals with, and they had them all lined up and tucked into their individual beds. So, I mean, just those little things like that. I mean, I remember our kids were so excited to see that, and those little touches that you get from the dining room staff to your room host to whoever that you interact with on the ships, I think that's what makes them all memorable. So
yeah, I agree.
So that's my list, I guess. So I guess as we close out, anything else that you guys want to talk about for Thanksgiving that we can pass on to our listeners?
We're just thankful for you. We're thankful for the listeners, because this community, it makes it a little bit easier to not be on a cruise ship, because we can turn to each other and talk about these things that we love and share it with a bunch of people. And I don't know, that's probably the thing that we're probably most thankful for, right?
Oh, definitely.
So true.
Christy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm actually thankful for Steve. So thankful that he brought me on this journey with him, but also thankful that he does all of the work for the podcast. So Chris and I get to show up and just talk to people. Sometimes press record, but that's where our requirements end. And so Steve really busts his little butt to get the podcast published each week, and doing the intros and the outros and the putting the content online. It's just, you do a lot, Steve. So thank you very much.
Seriously, thank you.
Well, I want to thank both of you guys for coming along this journey with me. I mean, Christy, you and I talked to somebody this week about the transatlantic cruise, and Chris, I know you and I have talked to different people too, and I think we all kind of feel this way. Like, you just don't have this outlet at work a lot of times or with other people in your lives. So to be able to, and I think that's the magic of podcasting, is you can turn to, something that you really enjoy. And I want to thank all of the listeners who've come along this journey with us, and then both of you guys, Christy and Chris, for kind of just building this little community, because if it wasn't for the listeners and if it wasn't for you two, I don't think that there would be the DCL podcast. So I'd just like to say thank you to everybody out there for all that you guys have done to help support us, and I look forward to continuing to grow the show as we go forward. So with that, I guess we'll kind of wrap things up and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys, all our listeners out there, just have a wonderful and joyous day, and hopefully maybe the Detroit Lions will win this year and lift your spirits, Christy.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Just have a great time, and we'll see you next time on the next show. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.